Hello, everyone, and welcome to this new episode of the Semoto Podcast. Today, here with us, Francesco Pagano from Tokenance. Ciao, Francesco.
Ciao, Marco. Thank you very
Hi.
much for having me.
Absolute pleasure. So, for us, it's a special episode because Tokenance is a company based in Switzerland, is in the software development business, and particularly it focus on something extremely interesting that is digital passport and digital twin. So that for us shows how Semoto is expanding into new markets, into new vertical, welcoming incredible providers like Tokenance. So extremely excited to have you with us today. Francesco, tell us a bit about yourself, first of all, and then the company.
Absolutely. No, thank you very much, Marco. Thank you for hosting Tokenance. It is a pleasure to partner with you guys at Semoto. And a big shout out to Fulvio Magni, who's the CEO, Giovanni Alberto Sala, the Chief Commercial Officer. We have a good network of friends and advisors around the company, like Marina Bottinelli and Ennio Sorrentino. Apologies, but I had to pay justice to the team and, like me, advising for Tokenance. I'm a sales and marketing professional, classically trained. I am a consultant today, and I'm helping Tokenance to follow this mission of championing, especially blockchain and AI, and put them at the service of small and medium enterprises, maybe more medium enterprises. Transformation is an imperative. So as you well know, because you created a platform for that, digital transformation is imperative. Exponential technologies like blockchain and artificial intelligence become a must. So we want to be able to help, companies to cross that bridge without breaking the bank and really understanding what they're signing in for.
Thanks, Francesco. The volume is a little bit low, so I'm going to ask you to speak a little bit louder. I don't know if it's your microphone or our system. Anyway, thanks for the explanation. Let's dig deeper. So Tokenance, the core is a software development house. So tell us a little bit about what you focus on, the type of clients that you cover, how are you different from other providers, and then we can switch to the bread and butter of Tokenance.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly like any other software house, we want to develop proprietary services and proprietary products that can be easily applied by small and medium enterprises. We think, especially in the case of blockchain, what's unique is we create very simple to use tools. So if you take, for example, blockchain applications, you can use our tools without ever touching, for example, cryptocurrency, or knowing anything about blockchain, or receiving your NFT or digital passport or digital twin simply in your email. So we want to make sure we plug these exponential technologies into your Web2 infrastructure with no disruption and no excess or unnecessary capital expenditures. That is what's unique about the company. The other thing that is unique about the company is, probably you see it from my hair, we're very different, so with very different backgrounds, very experienced. So we want also to put this experience at the service of entrepreneurs or medium enterprises that really struggle to understand what's cooking, what's new with blockchain, with AI, what do I need to know, and so also provide a little bit of advisory and comfort, leveraging our experiences and our mistakes. Because when you're old, you've done plenty.
You've done it all, you've experienced it all. Absolutely.
Yes.
And Francesco, when it comes to the clientele that Tokenance serves, you see a majority of the flow of crypto blockchain native projects approaching you to develop new tools like wallets or entire chains, or you see more adoption coming into the market from Web2 company asking you for a new piece of technology?
Yeah, correct. It's more the second. It's more how can we bring efficiencies and impact thanks to exponential technologies to the old world. Made, for example, we have a couple of clients where, let's not make names, but from real estate, for example, or from manufacturing. How can we instill efficiencies, so cost savings, and better tools for engagement of their consumers thanks to these new technologies.
Thanks. And talking about these clients, because me and you, we were chatting before the podcast, I am absolutely mesmerized about what you guys are doing is beautiful. So let's dig deeper into what is the specialty, what is Tokenance famous for, not just a normal software house, but you specialize in what is known as digital passport technology and digital twins. So first of all, I pass the ball to the expert. Give us the definition. What is a digital passport?
Yeah, correct. And maybe we can define both at the same time. You're totally right. So in this specific case, we use blockchain, and we use our partnership with top 10 blockchain Cardano, which is one of the best blockchains out there, with very low consumption, energy intensity. So we're very proud, to represent that. So I'm happy to mention also their name, because very proud to represent that partnership as well. So a digital twin and a digital passport are a digital representation of something. So a digital twin, for example, is a digital representation of an apartment, say. So we have a tool called Retwin, which is branded and can be sold also in a white label solution under XTwin, that allows you, when you buy an apartment, to receive also the digital twin of that apartment, protected by blockchain, including, for example, all relevant purchase documentation, all the technical specifications, all the, for example, the pre-approved interventions on the heating system and so forth. This allows you to have the official trace of everything that took place in the apartment, with no asymmetry of information between the seller and the buyer. If that information is not true in front of a judge, it's very easy to go to verdict. So the digital twin in our case is being served to people with no need to handle cryptocurrency, have a wallet. So it's being sent to you with a link into your inbox. So a simple email send. A digital passport is something slightly different. So take an object. So for example, like a bag or a car, a luxury product, a pair of shoes, a watch. So the product is being marked in a way, for example, with an NFC chip. The digital passport is the replica on a digital level, protected by blockchain, of that watch, and it serves two purposes. Number one is to certify the authenticity of that watch. Think of the counterfeit market, for example, for watches, jewels, and so forth, which is as big as the, let's say, official market. And the second thing is allows you to hide into the digital passport unique benefits and perks to really have that one-to-one engagement. Now, in the digital passport, and this is important for the audience, so the European Union just passed this new regulation dedicated to digital passports. So starting from 2027, no product will be able to circulate without a digital passport, which will show the full supply chain, the sustainability footprint, and so forth. So countries have a couple of years to adjust and absorb this new regulation. So businesses will need to change fairly fast. The good news is we're in time, so we have all the time in the world to really change the way we manufacture products. And then we can flip it. We can use this digital passport as an opportunity to engage with our clientele in a more unique and individual and intimate way. This is what we do. This is the second product that we serve. So you can have your digital passport done on blockchain, again, without knowing anything about cryptocurrency, without having to have a wallet. So it's all done seamlessly behind the scenes. All you see is just, the digital proto password will be served to you via email, easily into your, let's say, Web2 ecosystem.
And Francesco, thanks a lot for this explanation. Now, in the audience, we have a lot of people that are educating themselves and learning about real-world assets. So what is the difference here? Because one thing is to tokenize an apartment, but a digital passport is completely different. Here we're not talking about the transferability of the product, but more about the authenticity and uniqueness of the tool that can be guaranteed by the technology itself. Am I correct?
It is correct, exactly. So it's the certification of the authenticity and in a way, the EU law covers also sustainability, because sustainability will be a big topic in the coming years. As you know, we got to move before 2030. So collects all of that information that by law need to be communicated to the final user. So in the future, starting from 2027, I will not be able to trade something unless contains all the relevant specs regarding the end-to-end supply chain. So for example, child labor and all the ISO certifications, and then the sustainable, so the carbon footprint that accompanies that. But it's an opportunity also to hide into it also the, let's say marketing benefits, perks and benefits. So if you want, you're totally right. The digital product passport is the full unfolding of a simple digital twin.
Got it. You mentioned it before, you gave us some idea about the real estate piece, but please give us, again, without disclosing client's name, but if you can, tell us more about these two use cases, because they are extremely interesting and they're polar opposite. One is a digital twin, real estate. The other one is a manufacturing product, and that falls more into digital passport. So if you can, tell us more about the two use cases and what are you doing for the clients?
Yeah, for sure. The first case is already in market. So let's say it is a platform where agencies and potential buyers of real estate, so apartments or houses, meet. And it's penetrated here in Europe and also in the US. So in this specific case, what is interesting is you can really play, so to speak, Champions League, because your apartment could be served and catered to a clientele, for example, that is global. So let's say I'm selling an apartment in the Amalfi Coast or in other beautiful places from Italy, Sardinia, or Côte d'Azur in France. I can really have a new market where I can sell my apartment, whether I'm an individual or via an agency, for example, to a potential buyer in Miami or in Russia or in Singapore, and not only sell that piece, that apartment, that piece of real estate, but also certify that what I'm saying is true. So I'm giving you an extra layer of security that you're buying into something that is protected by blockchain. And if we show up in front of a judge, that is exactly what I mentioned. So it minimizes the potential for frauds or malicious actors to intervene in the real estate exchange. So gives you global exposure and then protects seller and buyer for potential frauds. So it's a super powerful tool. And again, you don't need to use cryptocurrency or have a wallet. You're going to receive all the documentation into your inbox. So this is an additional service. So for agencies selling pieces of real estate, for them it's an opportunity to uptrade, so add additional value-added services to distinguish themselves. For the buyer, it's an opportunity to be protected in what they buy. There's a lot of scams when you buy property, for example, in Dubai or in Florida or wherever. So this is an additional tool that allows you to trade globally while being 100% secure and safe.
Fascinating.
This is the first bit.
There is a statistic that you gave me before that absolutely shocked me. You mentioned that also one of the advantage is security and durability of the documents that an owner of a property needs to keep. And you mentioned that generally documents get lost over 5 years' time. People lose quite a lot of the documentation pertinent to the purchase of their property. And it made me think, where the hell have I put my own documents? So it definitely resonates quite well. I have no idea what I've done with mine. But that is a great point in favor of a digital passport. What I wanted to ask you though, how does it work when some of the information needs to get updated? So how is the marriage between the technology and traditional paperwork, like an amendment of the energy class, for example? How does that work?
No, it's an extremely good question, and normally, to complete the butado, the joke that you did right after when we have calls and we say this, people go in and look for their documentation. Where did I put it? In which drawer? And The number is correct. So we tend to lose relevant documentation, whether we're individuals, so private individuals, or even agencies, even real estate agencies. Your question is absolutely, I mean, it's fantastic. So what we did together with Cardano is the NFT, which is the box that contains all the information, is a dynamic NFT. So actually can be continuously updated to capture all the relevant and fresh information. Changes of property, for example. But let's say, in the apartment, I want to do a qualified intervention on the heat system, on the air conditioning, and I want to prove that. Then I register that information into the same NFT so that the NFT is always up to date with the development of the apartment. This allows you to protect the residual value of the apartment. Or to really claim that the apartment appreciated over time because you intervened and refreshed and renewed the piece of property. This happens, for example, in Switzerland, so property tends to appreciate over time. And then you can record all the property swaps that take place, for example, inside the same family. So this helps, for example, to make the overall process of inheritance, for example, much more efficient. So it is a dynamic NFT. This is the beauty also of that tool. And it is an NFT that Cardano provides. So it's part of their arsenal of potential tools.
I have a follow-up question about the why Cardano, but let's finish first because this is the digital twin part. Let's go to the digital passport one. You have a quite interesting client that is doing something that I'm not afraid to use the word revolutionary with the use of chips and blockchain technology in an extremely traditional business. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the product per se, we're in the industrial manufacturing field. And again, just out of respect, maybe we keep it generic. So every single product that gets marked with an NFC chip that is intelligent. So all you need to do as a potential consumer, but even as the middleman, is to scan the product with your phone. And then there will be a pop-up that will bring you to the NFT where you see all the technical specification of the products, all the end-to-end supply chain, the carbon footprint, potential new information, potential additional perks and benefits that we want to add as brand owners, for example, to engage our potential clientele. You can do it in multiple phases, gated, ungated, if you want to capture also consumer information. So it's a very flexible tool. So all it is an NFT that contains that information. What is interesting, I think, we're only at the beginning of a tremendous revolution, because the digital product passport goes together with the object, say a washing machine, a watch, as we said, a pair of shoes. What is interesting in this box, so to speak, we can put an AI agent, so we can combine blockchain and artificial intelligence, so that when you open up the digital product passport, actually, you're not going to have 350 pages of an instructional manual or like a ton of text to go through. Actually, that AI agent can help you understand the function of the product, say a washing machine, for example, tell you about the company and start interacting with you, offering those unique perks and benefits, for example. Give suggestions. So artificial intelligence is all about predictive data. Give you suggestions and nudges and prompts, for example, of predictive maintenance that you should do so that you can keep the value of the product intact. So that's what we're going to do. So it's part of our roadmap. We're going to put into the digital product passport also an additional layer of AI. And that combination is going to be fantastic. I mean, it's going to be explosive and give extra service to the final user. And then there's all the legal requirements that you need, for example, to trade your product from South Korea to Morocco and so forth. But you can imagine the beauty of a tool. I mean, you like me, you have a fridge or you have a car or you have a heater, or even if you have a piece of furniture. So how cool would it be if that object would be a talking object that interacts with you and makes your life easier or just protects the value of the asset that you just bought. Well, that is feasible today thanks to the use of blockchain and artificial intelligence.
Interesting. So going back to what you were mentioning before, you guys closed a partnership with Cardano. You are really close to the foundation. So let's give those guys a shout. We like them a lot as well. Why did you choose them? Why Cardano was the right place to build for you?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I have to be honest, it is number one, personal relationships. So we bonded right away. So as always in life, there's a little bit of serendipity. Number two, it's top 10 blockchain at the forefront of innovation. So for example, I mean, maybe for the blockchain lovers out there, Cardano is one of the first blockchains that introduced, for example, proof of stake right away. Where, one of the first blockchains where energy intensity was always a topic. And their relationship, for example, with the United Nations. So they already started discussing topics at, very early in the development of blockchain, where other blockchains, for example, were late. And then the possibility to shape together the future tools that we can use together. So we're part of a group of, let's say, suppliers and partners that can really help them shape the tools needed for business. So from a B2B point of view. And then, Marco, I have to be honest, so we don't work only with Cardano, we are establishing partnership with other blockchains. So for example, there's another one that is especially dedicated to the healthcare sector and so forth. So we're gonna enlarge the menu of the, let's say, partners in the field of blockchain and artificial intelligence so that we can pick and choose the right fit for every company that we meet. So that's probably it's part of the roadmap.
Fascinating. You mentioned artificial intelligence. Now you are another reason why we choose to list you on the Semoto ecosystem is that not many software houses truly have capability in both these sectors, blockchain and artificial intelligence. So tell us more about what Tokenance has been doing for clients in developing artificial intelligence solution.
Yeah, for sure. And also here, Marco, I have to be honest, it's really part of so that it's 100% clear we're still a small company. So for the moment, exactly like in the field of blockchain, we're operating with strategic partnerships for the long term. And it's part of the roadmap. So of not only for us, of any company to have competence and expertise to be internalized, both in blockchain and artificial intelligence. In this specific case, it's really generative AI. That is, the hardcore. So I'll give you one example of a product that we sell already, ready to use, which is called Pangenius, which can become your assistant, for example, on the retail floor. So it's Gen AI powered and becomes your ally, for example, to understand, where did I put that article, that SKU? What are the features of that SKU? Does that specific jar of sauce contain celery or not because I'm allergic to it? And that, let's say, concierge, it is a chatbot, but that ally on the floor can be a helper both for a sales associate, but also for the final consumer. So let's say sometimes, you go to a store, you need to buy intimate stuff like medicine or maybe something that is, just because you have a condition and you don't want to ask openly a human. So you have a totem with that helper, that agent that can really help you with those delicate, intimate questions, for example. So that tool is already available. So what we do with these strategic partnerships is we develop unique tools that are ready to use with a snap and can be applied, for example, for a retailer without disrupting their, for example, system or their software that they use in store for payment and so forth. So this is one example of the use of Gen AI that we're doing, and it's already in market.
Got it. And as a software house, you have the capability of building from scratch for clients, but also clients can purchase, as you mentioned, as a white label, several of these products that you have already built for the market, right?
It is correct. And for very specific use cases, it's easy to build from scratch. So if there's, 10 tasks that are more complex, of course, we need to tap into what's available. So the large language models provided by the big ones, OpenAI or Llama or Mistral or Anthropic and so forth. Because, to train a large language model takes a lot of time and a lot of money. So it's easy to tap into that. But for very specific case, you can code for that and create a doc for that.
Fascinating. What is the biggest request, or the most common request, that you receive as a company when it comes to artificial intelligence solution? Do you see a trend in the type of request the clients ask you?
Yeah, I would say so there's two main use cases being asked as we speak today. Number one is content creation, so optimization of the marketing efforts of a company. Number two is a retrieval of documentation. So a toolkit that can sift through my documentation, my files, my servers, my databases, and make sense of that to serve me the right information. Like, for example, when was that jar of sauce produced, or that pair of shoes, where is it, which warehouse? And so these are the two main, let's say, use cases being landed today. But to your question, what are the recurring questions that we see, in companies? And surprisingly, I mean, this could shock some parts of the audience, but it's still the same. The main questions are never.
Apologies, Francesco, we have a bit of an interruption. I have my dog that wants to
go ahead.
Probably listening to the podcast. Please go ahead. She was knocking down the door.
No. It's normal. It's good because we're dealing with human beings. Thank goodness. So it's good. It's good to have interactions.
No, sorry for the interruption, but it's quite interesting that you received that
but I was saying,
request.
Yeah, what is interesting in questions, it's the main questions are not even about technology. The main questions are about understanding what the tool can do without, disrupting or having your business collapse. And what do I use it for? Preserving the core of my business. These are the questions. And these are the hard questions that don't change. So I think fundamental strategic questions that we should ask ourselves. And these are as valid as the technological questions.
Fascinating. Switching for one last question back to the digital passport. What other use case do you see out there for this new piece of technology? And what challenges you envision for the future in order to reach full adoption, mass adoption?
Yeah, correct. I think the digital passport can become, today it's what we mentioned, protects authenticity, there's marketing benefits, it's dynamic, so captures the history of an object, and can really become a monetization tool. So I can really protect, for example, the residual value of my car, so that there's no more discussions about the value of an object. So I think we're going to have the data and we can associate value to it, which is tremendous. I mean, according to Salesforce, in the world, there's 41% of the value of what we do that is completely inefficient. So because it's linked, for example, to misestimates or mismatches of information between me and you. So that's fundamental. I mean, it will create an earthquake in the world of business. So that's perfect. I think the main obstacle, and again, it's a fantastic question, is the regulation. So I think, Europe tends to regulate more heavily versus, for example, other regions like China and the US. So the main fear, the main reticence of businesses is, are we going to be less competitive because we have to comply with more rules if we want to do business here versus the other two regions? So this is the main source of concern, I think, today.
I think you touched on a great point, particularly when it comes to artificial intelligence. I think that a lot of countries, when they try to regulate heavily from the word go, are only going to slow down, forget about adoption, but the development of the technology implementation. And without the first wave of development, there is nothing really to regulate, because you kill it from the word start and you just pass an advantage to another country that is going to be more welcoming and more open to support that technology. So in UK, in Europe, we need to be extremely careful.
Absolutely, absolutely. And as a matter of fact, I mean, without mentioning the details, but already, OpenAI, which belongs to Microsoft or Meta, are launching new features of their models first in the US. And sometimes the rollout doesn't even contemplate Europe because they know they're going to be in trouble. And I am not advocating, I'm not defending big tech. It just, there's no global standard that can protect, for example, EU-based startups or companies. So I think regulation is one big area where we have to lobby and ask for clarity at a global level.
Thanks. I think we can end on this note, but thanks Francesco, thanks Tokenance. Again, it's a pleasure to have you on our ecosystem. You guys are building something revolutionary. So I invite all the audience to get in touch with Tokenance. At the bottom of this podcast, you will be able to see the Tokenance profile on Semoto. If you're looking for experts like Francesco and his company, please, there are hundreds of vetted service providers waiting for you on Semoto. Francesco, thanks again, and looking forward to the business together.
Thank you very much, Marco. Thank you, and viva Semoto.
Thanks.